I'd like to call to order the meeting of the Fall River Licensing Board. For the record, all members of the board are present, and today is Wednesday, July 15th. Pursuant to the open meeting law, any person may make an audio or video recording of this public meeting or may transmit the meeting through any medium. Attendees are therefore advised that such recordings or transmissions are being made, whether perceived or unperceived by those present, and are deemed acknowledged and permissible. When your matter is called, please come into the atrium and sit at one of the desks facing the board. First item on the agenda, Dave's Pizza, 873 Globe Street. Okay. It's withdrew.
Make a motion to table.
Second the motion,
No, it can be withdrawn.
Make a motion that we withdraw on this matter.
and I'll second the motion.
It's a motion made and seconded to withdraw. Anyone else in favor? Anyone opposed? All in favor?
Aye.
Stafford Road Liquors, Inc., 440 Stafford Road, Caesar Simus, change of manager.
So you can take your mask off when you're at the table, okay?
Thanks.
Could you state your name and address for the record, please?
Caesar Simus, 440 Stafford Road.
Okay, so you're applying to be the manager of this liquor license.
Yes.
What's your experience, sir, with alcohol sales?
Well, two of our locations sell beer and wine, and we have so since the operations have been open, so I'm
Okay.
pretty extensive.
This is in Seabra?
Yes.
Correct?
Correct.
And are you physically there? That's where you work
Yes, I am.
out of?
Yes, I am. My
So you're
office
there
is-
long hours?
Yes.
And on average, how many hours a week do you think you're there?
Too many, but about 50 a week.
Okay. All right, we do have a police report, and it's fine.
Good.
There's no objection to it. You have any questions?
No questions.
Is there anyone else here in favor? Is there anyone opposed?
I'll make the motion that we approve the change of manager.
And I'll second that motion.
It's a motion made and seconded to approve. Anyone else in favor? Anyone opposed? All in favor?
Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Class 2 licenses, Barber Auto Sales, TR 673 Bedford Street, Tanius H. Barber.
Dominic? There it is, okay.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
You can remove your masks. Could you just state your name and address for the record, please?
Yes, my name is Tanius H. Babur, 21 6th Street, Taunton, Mass.
Okay, sir?
Anthony Balboa, same address.
Okay, so according to this application, this is 673 Bedford Street.
Yes.
Is that, it was a gas station? Is it right next to the bakery?
Yes.
Okay, so you're looking for a license for used cars there for 22 cars?
Yes.
Okay. So this is an actual, you already have a license, correct?
Yes, I do. Yes.
So this is a new license, it's not an extension?
No, he's moving from one to.
Oh, you're moving one to the other? All right, you're not going to keep it in two places? Okay, all right. So you have that whole side down the side of the bakery, correct?
Yes.
That you can use?
Yes.
Because that goes beyond the building, correct?
Yes.
Okay, all right. I grew up in the area, that's why I know it, not because I'm at the bakery all the time. Okay. And all of the facilities, office, bathrooms, everything's in that?
Yes, indeed.
Okay. Right now, there's no kind of fencing or anything. Do you plan to do anything, or roping, or you're going to leave it completely open?
I already cleaned it, and I already, doesn't need a fence because there's two sides on the road.
Right, so you can come in and out from
Yes.
either way? Okay. And your expected hours of operation there?
Well, it's gonna be from 9 to 5 every day, except Saturday and Sunday.
So Monday to Saturday, 9 to 5?
Yeah.
Okay. Any questions? Then we don't need a police report
No
because it's an
questions.
existing
Okay.
license.
Yeah.
Okay, any questions from the
No
members of the board?
questions.
Questions?
All right. Anyone else in favor? Anyone opposed?
I'll make a motion that we grant the Class 2 license.
There's a
And I'll
motion
okay.
made by
I'll second
Eric
the motion.
and seconded by Terry. Anyone else in favor? Anyone opposed? All in favor? Aye.
Good luck.
You're all set. Good luck.
Thank you for
Thank
coming.
Thank you very much.
Exporter LLC, 56 North Main Street, number 219. Good luck.
I hope see you a customer.
What?
I hope I will see you as a customer.
Oh, you never know. You never know.
Hello.
Hi. Good afternoon. So if you just state your name and address for the record, please.
Assad Saker,
Okay, and your address?
56 North Main Street.
Okay, so this is a wholesale license, correct?
Yes, sir.
And what are your expected hours of operation?
Probably about 9 to 4.
Nobody goes into the building, correct?
Very rarely.
Okay. The police report is all set.
Good.
Oh,
Right.
okay, that's good.
Any questions from the members of the board?
No
No
questions.
questions.
Anyone else in favor? Anyone opposed? All in favor?
Make a motion that we grant the Class 2 license.
There's a motion made and
And I'll
seconded.
second it.
Anyone else in favor? Anyone opposed? All in favor?
Aye. Good luck.
You're all set. Thank you.
Let us know if we can help.
Be safe.
Thank you. The next item on our agenda is public input. We have not been notified that anyone signed up for public input, and we have not received any thing for public input. Is there anyone here that would like to speak on a topic? Okay, the next item on the agenda will be show cause hearings. The Portuguese Cultural Center, 205 South Main Street, Liberal, Silva.
Yeah, this is good. No, you can sit
They're
together.
right there.
Well, if you're gonna take your mask off, you can each sit in one spot, right? That would make sense.
Liberals here too.
Okay, so Attorney Brilliant, I'm sorry, can you identify yourselves for the record, please?
Good evening, members of the board. Ms. Ash, for the record, Attorney Gregory Brilliant on behalf of the Portuguese Cultural Center, Liberal Silva. And Mr. Silva is here with me this evening.
Okay. So, Mr. Silva, you know that there's been a complaint filed with the board by the police, and you understand why you're here tonight?
Yes, I do.
Okay. And you've hired Mr. Brilliant, are you comfortable with him representing you in this transaction?
Yes.
Okay. You do realize that as the process goes, this board can do anything from a warning to revoking your license. You understand that?
Yes, I do.
Okay. And with knowing that, are you prepared to move forward?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Mr. Brilliant, you ready to go?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Who is here on behalf of the police, please? We just need someone to read the police report, please. Okay, well, you can read the report, that's fine.
Do you have it?
Mr. Chairman, may I, before Detective Cadero, I just have a preliminary question, and I'm not trying to be a pain in the rear end here, because we may actually acknowledge the actual event. There's just numerous instances, Detective Cadero, in the police report regarding other instances. I asked Ms. Ash, she said that she didn't have anything. I mentioned it to Mr. Salino, but he hadn't had the opportunity to read the report.
Is this him, guys?
I just, are there any other instances that have been reported that I can make reference to? Because I'm not prepared to do that. It says it twice, and it seems to be a significant part of why, and I don't want to speak for the police department as to why we're here.
My understanding is the two that are before us tonight and the others that are coming in the coming months, all we need is one violation. The reference to it, I don't know. We don't have any knowledge of that. If there is something else, I don't know if Detective Cordero can speak to that. But what's before us, regardless of if it references within the police report, there is one violation that we know of. And if Mr. Silva is inclined to submit and acknowledge the allegation in the police report, that's fine. That's done many, many times to waive the reading of the report
Mr.
and just go
Attorney
forward.
Salino, that's why I'm asking.
Yep.
Because if it's encompassing supposed other incidents, I can't acknowledge those because I don't even
Right.
know what they are. But if
Right.
it's encompassing the fact that,
The officer on scene, speaking with the health inspector. The health inspector advised him that there were prior incidences.
we don't even.
Is one of
The health
these
inspector.
gentlemen, who, if you could come down, please, and just state your name for the record, please, and your position.
Bob Cloutier, health agent.
Okay, so Mr. Claudia, you were involved in these
I was.
reports, correct?
I was.
So this is submitted as one report, just one incident, correct?
Correct.
But to the best of your knowledge, how many other times
We've been there 3 times total
during this period?
during this period.
And were they subsequent to this May 30th?
Correct.
So even though they knew that they had been shut down once, they did it again?
Yes, they did.
Mr., may I? My understanding is Mr. Cloutier called and he went there 3 times because he said he got complaints, but never went inside. It was not open.
We did go inside. There were 2 times prior to that last
May
report
30th?
that we did enter.
And there was this stuff going on?
Yes.
So is there another complaint coming, or is this? Yeah.
We put it all into the one complaint.
Okay. So I agree, it probably should have been more specific as to what it is. And like I said,
The reason for the one complaint is we weren't there at the prior ones. We learned secondhand from the inspector.
okay. And that's unfortunate, and not unfortunately, everyone's doing the best they can under
know,
the
I know.
circumstances. So the health inspectors are involved, the building inspectors involved, we're getting information from everyone. Carrie's been riding around the city inspecting places because I can't be there because of my full-time job.
No.
So we're trying to do the best, and I think just not to lose sight of how many times it's important, but I think what's more important is but just by the fact that there was an emergency order by the governor that said you need to be closed, period, and they opened.
And
And I think, is what the board will look into, will consider in how they want to resolve it. We understand, and I said this, I've been here a long time, and I say it all the time, we're not here in business to put people out of business, we want people to succeed. But you can't, especially with what's going on in the world, you can't just say, I'm not paying attention to that, I'm going to open. The other thing is, in the past, this is not the first time Mr. Silva's been here. We've had interactions with him before when there was all the confusion over how that license is structured and what was covered and who was doing what, when some of his former tenants left. He represented to the board that he was there. He was there, a lot of the time. Was Mr. Silva there anytime you went?
No, he was not.
Mr. Chairman, we're going to acknowledge that because Mr. Silva, because of COVID-19, in all due respect, and again, it's not an excuse because he's still required to be there by virtue of his license. Because of COVID-19, he has a heart condition, he has diabetes, his family and doctor said, don't go out.
Right.
But I'm not saying that that's right because he is on the license, and I've told him that. He is the one responsible for it. On the date in question, we are not, on that Saturday, the alarm went off, the police came, we will acknowledge the fact that they had made food for the needy, and the guys hung around. And there were 3 guys at a table, the card playing I didn't acknowledge, but there were 3 beers there. So based on that, Detective Cordero, we'll acknowledge that. I honestly don't know about these other times. I talked to Mr. Cordero, who has been there in place of Mr. Silva, and he said that he spoke, I don't want to put your name in it, because he said somebody from the health department who said they've gotten complaints that of people are in the building. And he said he was going to get a $1,000 fine. And he said, no one's been in this building, operating this building. The only time people have been in the building is to paint and renovate. And the person said, okay. So unless I'm mistaken by that, I asked him yesterday, has there been any other complaints? And he told me that he was told there were 3 times people came and didn't get in because of complaints that things were going on. Other than that, we don't know about, so I can't, if there are something else, I don't even know how to address it. In terms of what Detective Cordero was here today for, the incident occurred. There's no
Okay.
question about it.
Just before we go any further, I don't want to get too far into this. I was just introducing what was happening.
Okay.
I am not going to participate in any deliberation.
Okay.
So I'm going to turn it over to Eric to go this point forward, okay?
Mr.
Sure,
Chairman, just to
absolutely.
reiterate, and to the detective, we acknowledge on Saturday, May 30th, Officer Pavo arrived at the cultural center, the downstairs, and when he walked in, there were 3 gentlemen at a table after they had made food, still not correct for the needy, and they were sitting there and they had a beer in front of them. Whether they were playing cards, that may be, I didn't check on that. But that incident occurred. He realizes he was wrong. He realized also he wasn't there. And again, I explained that to you. Again, doesn't make it right. They've been shut down for a long time. I understand what's going on in the world right now. It's dangerous. And, but they want to come here and say that they admit to what happened. And, they would hope that, the board, would give them some, leeway relative to what has happened, given the circumstances of COVID, both the fact that they did something incorrect, and secondarily that everybody shut down trying to make a living.
Sure.
There was no money passed here.
Yep.
This wasn't purchased. It was given to people that had helped. Again, not trying to say, I understand the police department's position, not trying to say that's right, but that is what occurred.
Sure.
So we're not here to say, oh, we didn't do it, and it happened.
And we appreciate that as a board, being honest. I think it's important to the police department and to our board to make sure we're all working together. This is a unique time for all of us, for business owners. With that being said, there were violations, like you said. We have to address those. We have to make sure that the orders coming down from our governor and our state are being addressed in our city. There are a lot of licensees that are doing it correctly, and they're struggling also. I couldn't agree with you more. But it's affecting a ton of different businesses. We do appreciate your honesty. Are there any other questions? Is there anything else you'd like to state in front of the board?
Again, I just want to reiterate, and it's not to knock Mr. Cloutier. We didn't know about anything else, and I was trying to find out what those were.
Sure.
I checked through the government center. I didn't see anything in writing that I could come to address, because I really don't know.
Yeah.
So, but we are prepared for, on May 30th, and I don't want to waste the time of the Florida Police Department, because they're doing the best job they can,
Sure.
and it's not easy. I would just ask that, again, we realize that Mr. Silva's been in business for a long, long time, both with his, construction company and at the cultural center. He's served a lot of people over here, and we would just hope that, that would be taken into consideration. Relative to him being there, as the chairman stated, he wasn't. He knows he has to be. I've spoken to his family based on his health conditions, and if this keeps up, they're going to have to come before you guys and make some other arrangement, because he's just not going to be able to be here. About a year ago, he was, really, really, really ill.
Sure.
And almost died. And he's got circulation problems, diabetes, heart condition. He's a prime case that if he, unfortunately, got the COVID, he, and again, that might be some of the reason why he wasn't overseeing it there on that Saturday. Maybe he would have been able to tell them you can't do it and get out the building, but
Sure.
he's got to live with that now, because he was not there. And we
Correct.
admit that to the board as well.
Gotcha. Any questions
I
from the
just
board?
have one question. He has a lead person, Marco Cordero, who is the club president. He should be aware of what's going on and the rules and
Mrs.
regulations.
Esposito, he should be, and unfortunately, and I want to say this politely, some of these clubs think that they're not, at times, under the same rules. Like these gentlemen were in there, they had been renovating it, painting it up when they couldn't do business, okay? And then on this particular day, they went in to cook food to give to the needy. And I don't want to sound like it's an excuse, but sometimes these guys don't think of themselves in the same parameters of a bar.
Yeah.
They think it's almost like like
Club.
an organization, like a
Yeah.
church that they're part of. So then they go ahead and they go behind and they crack a beer open. Is it right under these rules and regulations? No. Do they think it's not right? Unfortunately, no. And hopefully, if Mr. Silva's medical condition precludes him from going into there, he's gonna have to have either his son Dan or his son Mike, both who work for the construction company, and oversee it and
Yeah,
say,
Yeah.
this
I
just
agree.
can't be done. It's the way it's gotta be done because he's gonna be 80 in 9 months, and
And one thing I have to admit, I think with what's going on now, the state and the city has done a great job in getting the message out, and I guess that's where we have to look at, the information was out there, this is the rules, we have to.
oh, the
Well,
police don't have an easy job. I mean, you have
Sure.
people open, you gotta control people, but it's not always the easiest thing for them to be able to control people. You get people down,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Detective Kadir, anything else you want to add? No?
No, just that, I mean, we have to take the word of the
Sure.
inspector.
And we're all working together here. Let's remember that, right? We're trying to do the best for our city. I mean, we're all here on the same page. Any more questions from the board?
No.
I'll make a motion what we're going to do is we're going to suspend the license for 2 weeks, okay? Now, there's going to be contingency on that. As long as the licensee does not have an infraction in the next 2 years, it disappears. Those 2 weeks are done. If there is an additional infraction, especially of the same kind, the
2 weeks.
the 2 weeks we'll have to pick up the remaining to a full month of suspension. So you'd have 16 days left.
Gotcha.
Okay, we got that? Understand, Liberal? So we're going to give you a 14-day suspension. Is that 14 days go by, you've got 2 years. As long as nothing happens, it disappears. If something happens within those 2 years and you come in front of the board, you're going to finish out your 30 days, and if the board inclines to, depending on the infraction,
Whatever that
may
may be.
add more. I think that's very fair. There are other people in your spot, and the information was out there. I hate to say it, and in all due respect to your health, I apologize. I hope you do get better. I know you can't be there, but that can't be an excuse. There are plenty of licensees that are probably in the same spot. So I'll make a motion that we suspend the license for 14 days with a contingency that the licensee does not have any additional infraction in the next 2 years, or that will be accepted.
And I'll second that motion. What is it?
I don't,
Restarts.
they're not even open. 'Cause they're like,
Right, nobody's open.
yeah, that's why I was just gonna be mine. Is it start now? Because,
No, it
Oh,
can't,
yeah,
they
it
can't until
can't.
the place opens.
Yeah.
yeah, I would assume so, right?
Well, I guess the only thing you could do would be to say that it will be imposed once the
Upon-
restrictions are lifted on the license.
He can't open though? They don't open
Phase
because?
3?
Because of the restaurant?
He can't, he technically, well,
He can't-
But
no,
does
it's
he-
a function hall.
He can't
Bert
open
is-
now?
can't open.
Yeah, that's it. He
Yes,
can't
Yes,
open.
Bert
That's-
can's open.
Yeah, they can't open, and he can have, the cultural center can have
So
well,
Bert is
maybe
the
not,
ga-
but I guess.
No,
But Bert
no,
is
A
can't
gathering, I guess
No.
it can only be a small amount of people, but it
That
technically could
license
open.
covers that entire building,
Yes,
so that affects the restaurant, too.
yeah, so that's what I'm saying,
Yeah.
so that's why I'm asking, if it's going to run, can it run, like, do you want to have it when Benfica opens?
So technically, just to clarify, if Bert is wanted to today, they could open with,
Are they open?
they're not.
They are.
They are?
They are open,
Bert
okay.
is open.
Because I think they can, so if that's the
They
case,
can.
we can,
And they're nice people.
they are.
No.
I agree with you.
This is terrible. It's just terrible.
I mean, we can invoke it
Oh,
now,
my God.
Yep.
get it out of the way,
Yeah.
before it cranks up.
I think
I
before
think
they
that's
start
fair.
getting busier, it's better to do it
I-
and get it
Yeah.
over with.
I agree.
While
Right?
it's
Mr. Silva's
quiet,
gonna have to
right.
deal with Bertha's, but I agree.
Yeah.
Before it cranks up and hopefully it gets
So you
back
have a
to some
calendar?
sense of
I
normalcy.
agree.
Do it now when there's a little bit of
And
downside.
And just, I feel bad for Bert is because they didn't know what was going on upstairs. And I would be a little upset if I were them. But unfortunately,
It's an
they
issue.
fall
with-
under
it's
the
an issue-
license.
It's an issue with the license, and I've told that to Mr. Silva.
I agree. So a motion's made in second. Anyone else here in favor? Anyone opposed? All in favor?
Aye.
You do have the right to appeal.
Is he handing it tomorrow?
What's the effective date of that?
yeah.
That's what you have to pick a date.
That's what I'm asking.
Oh, that's what I'll
So
ask.
I would think probably
Effective.
it would make
Mr. Chairman, if I
sense.
may, or through the chair, could we maybe ask for a stay till Monday? And I'm not, it's not.
Oh, yeah,
because
no,
of the
no.
weekend.
Yeah,
I-
yeah,
I
yeah.
was
Gotta
gonna,
work
I
out
was
with-
gonna
with
suggest
Bertha's.
that it
Yes.
start, if you were gonna do that, if they're gonna do that, to go to like August 3rd, that way that gives them time
To prepare?
prepare for it. and then serve the first 2 weeks of August.
So
then
it'll
maybe
be
I just
August 3rd to August
August.
17th?
Right, so what happens in those cases, so that it's a done deal, so I'm not participating. The license has to be turned into licensing at 9 AM on
On
the
the
3rd, and it can be picked up at 9 AM on the 17th.
Thank you,
Okay?
thank you. Detective, thank you.
Mr. Silva,
Thank
good
you.
luck.
Good luck.
Take care of yourself.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, everyone.
Take care of yourself. I'm a bad diabetic too, so I know all about it.
Yeah, I know.
Everybody be safe.
All right, thank you.
You too, Greg. Bill, need help?
Greg, he's parked right
can go
there, so
there.
you should let him out that
Yeah.
door. No,
Okay,
it's not.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's fine.
It's okay.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Oh, the
So he doesn't have to walk all the way around.
Republican.
Liberal right this way. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah. So, Brian, who's doing Republican Club? Pavo?
Same one I sent him.
Pavo and Moore?
Maybe he needed a.
Republican is,
I could speak to that also.
Okay. You guys all
yeah,
set?
William Pavey.
The Republican Club, 1600 North Main Street, Joe Bispo. Could you state your name and address for the record, please?
My name is Bert Tavares, 1600 North Main Street.
What is your capacity in the Republican Club?
I'm the president of the club.
You're the president of the club? Okay. So, Mr. Tavares, do you know why you're here tonight?
Yes, I do.
Okay, and you know that you had the right to be represented by an attorney?
Didn't know exactly, no, I didn't know.
Okay, you didn't consult with anyone about what this is all
No,
about?
I mean, I know it happened, what happened. I wasn't even in the city when it happened. That Saturday, I was camping with my grandkids. But maintenance man went in there, and he's got a key, and he let his friends in.
Okay, so before we go any further, I have to, just a couple things I have to do. So this hearing tonight could result from a warning to the revocation of the license. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Okay, and knowing that and having had the opportunity to hire an attorney, do you still want to go forward tonight? And you just heard what happened to the last person.
Yes.
It's the same thing. I mean, it's not the same thing for you, I'm not saying that, but it's the same nature of the offense. But it's entirely up to you. I don't want you to do something and feel that you were pressured to do something. You do have the right to have an attorney. If you wanted that, we would have to continue it, but only to the next meeting if you were going to hire an attorney.
Well, I guess I can talk to my attorney, and
Do you have an attorney for the club?
we haven't used an attorney. We haven't had any problems with the club, so I haven't.
Okay. Well, I don't know how the rest of the board feels, but I feel that
Yeah.
the licensee
You
is
have
not
to be
sure.
comfortable coming in
Yeah.
front
Right.
of us. That's
Right,
most
you should.
important.
I don't want you to
Yeah.
agree to something and then later on say I was under a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
The thing is, if if we do agree to continue it, there had better not be another violation in the next 30 days.
Oh, believe
Please
me.
don't.
Because
Not gonna
what
happen.
he just got is going to be a walk in the park compared to what you'll get if that happens. You're supposed to be closed. That's just the way it is.
Like I said, I was.
Whether you're there or not,
It's
I
tough.
understand.
whoever the manager is, too, has to be at this next meeting. They're supposed to be here.
Yeah.
The manager is supposed to appear. Who's your manager?
Actually, I'm president and bar manager.
Okay, well, you're here then.
No, Bob.
We go.
Bob.
No, we have somebody else for the bar manager.
Well,
It's actually Bispo,
pardon me?
Mr. Bispo.
Mr. Bispo used to be the president. That was
Gotcha.
3 years
Well,
ago.
maybe you haven't changed your license. He's on record as a manager, so he's got to be at the
So
meeting.
even more of a reason why you maybe want to continue
Yeah,
this
you
and get
need to,
your
yes.
housekeeping in order.
I would
what I-
suggest, strongly suggest that you ask for a continuance now and that you hire a lawyer who knows something about licensing because it seems that maybe your house isn't in order either as to who is what in your club.
And then that in itself is a violation. We
Yeah,
can't
that's a
have-
violation,
We
right?
can't have a manager or a president on record that you just admitted to us isn't around anymore. So we want you to get your house in order, for sure, because maybe that's why this infraction happens, right? Because no one knows what's going on over there. So would you like to table this matter to the next meeting?
I guess, whatever.
Okay.
So I'll make a motion that we table this matter to the next meeting.
And I'll second the motion.
There's a motion made and
We'll give him
seconded
the date.
to table. Anyone else in favor? Anyone opposed? All in favor?
Aye.
So that'll be the 19th of August, and there'll be no further continuances.
And please
Okay?
have your manager here.
And make sure the manager of the bar is here.
Who do we have on record, Carrie?
Joe Bispo.
So either Joe needs to attend or a correspondence from Joe stating that he has no interest in the club anymore. And then we can address who may become the manager. You have a lot of things to get in order if what we're reading is correct. So start there. We got to get a manager in place. We got to get this violation addressed, and you've got 30 days to do it.
Okay?
Okay?
Thank you very much.
Get a lawyer.
Next item on the agenda is the Hot Well Quick Stop, 350 Rodman Street. Mr. Patel. Could you just state your name and address for the record, please?
Attorney John Mitchell representing Hotwell, Quickmart, and Mr. Bharat Patel.
Your name, sir?
My name is Bert Patel. I am the owner of the Hardware Quick Stop.
Okay. And, Mr. Patel, do you understand why you're here tonight?
Yeah, for the hearing, you sent me the letter, yeah,
Okay.
for the
And
violation.
Along
obvious-
those lines, I do want to point out, I don't think the notice is sufficient, given that it's been indicated it's for revocation. And I'll get into that later when I make my address
Well, it's
to
for a
the
show
board.
cause hearing.
Okay,
And
but
it-
it
and
doesn't cite any particular.
The
well,
penalties of a
we'll
show
come to
cause
that.
hearing are a warning to a revocation.
Okay, I'll address it when we get to it.
So are you prepared to go forward, Attorney Mitchell?
Yeah.
Okay. So we have quite the compilation of reports, calls. We have several police officers that are here to testify on this matter. We've gotten a lot of letters as recently as today about that property being a nuisance. So at this point, I'm going to ask, I guess, turn it over to Detective Cordero, and you can kind of lead us through this.
On May 4th, I received a quite lengthy report from Officer Michael Hedaya. I've also received numerous complaints from several officers on the job. Hedaya's report has been hundreds and hundreds of hours of police presence at the Quick Zone. The officers have tried working with them. Several officers are here to say they tried working with them. It continues to go on. This report was generated May 4th. I ran the calls for May, June, and July so far, and there's several, almost 100 more calls.
In 3 months.
Nothing is changing. It's a nuisance to the neighbors. It's a nuisance to people shopping. I received a complaint from the property manager of the property next door in regards to some of her tenants being harassed, assaulted, finding needles, urinating, trash being left by these parties. I've been informed by the officers that 1 week a homeless person is not allowed on the property, the next week he's allowed on the property. Some of the homeless people are being paid with alcohol to clean the property. And it's just an ongoing, we can't have officers going there 2 and 3 times a day for the same complaint. A majority of the complaints is all for an intoxicated person, open containers, It's just a nuisance to the city. It's a task on the police department. It has to end. We've tried working with them several times. These officers over here will explain what they've done, and nothing has changed. He will not listen to us. 1 week he wants somebody off the property, 1 week they can be on the property. We can't work like that. There's 1,000 calls going on every day in this city. We can't be going to his property for the same complaints over and over for the same problem.
Okay. Anything at this point?
No, well, I want to hear from the other officers. I
Okay,
just
so
point out
I'm going to
there's
ask
nothing-
the officers, whoever's going to speak first, please go to the other table, state your name and address for the record.
I did want to
please.
point out, though, up to now, there's nothing specific about anything Mr. Patel has done outside his license.
We're going to hear from the officers now.
Okay.
Could you just state your name, please?
Sure. So Officer Michael Hedaya.
Okay, and can you tell us, so there's a report, May 4th, 2020, that was in the packet. Okay, do you want to summarize that for us, please? Or do you want him to go into detail, Attorney
Whatever
Mitchell?
he wants to do.
Okay, so please tell us what your report is.
No problem. Myself and my partner, Officer McGann, are with the Special Operations Division. We're assigned to the Special Operations Division CDA walking beat. We touch on numerous complaints, including quality of life issues. The Hartwell Quick Stop is located at 350 Rodman Street, which is within my route of responsibility. I've responded there numerous times in regards to unwanted parties. The same unwanted parties, Mr. Patel was very cooperative a couple years back, put up no trespass signs. We worked together on that. However, the same individuals that continue to congregate on the property and drink on the property on the west side of the parking lot, one day they're allowed there. The next day I work here, I'm sweeping the parking lot for Mr. Patel. I contact Mr. Patel, I don't want him on the property. That person, I want them charged. That person is criminally charged. I believe over 100 arrests last year alone, maybe more since then. Criminal complaints to include summonses for trespassing, open alcohol containers, trash, urination at the dumpsters. People are scared to go to the gas pumps. People are scared to go inside. We've had stabbings. We've had robberies in the parking lot. Since then, numerous individuals have been placed under arrest, only for the next day for them to tell us to contact Mr. Patel when they're back on the property. I contacted Mr. Patel a few weeks prior after arresting one of these individuals that continues to enter the property and was told it's okay that he's there as long as Mr. Patel is present now in the store because he cleans the parking lot. That individual, a couple hours later, is found drinking alcoholic beverages in the west side of the parking lot again and informs us, along with another person who is now working for Mr. Patel, that they are paid in alcohol.
Okay.
It's become such a nuisance that every shift we work, we can't concentrate on other quality of life issues in the areas, to include Tecumseh Street, Snell Street, where my partner is assigned to, and also other areas of the Corky Row, because we have to continuously respond to the Hartwell Quick Stop for the same issues.
Okay. Do you have any questions of the officer?
I do. You're saying there were hundreds of arrests made at 350 Rodman Street?
In the parking lot, correct.
In what period of time?
Within the past 3 years?
And yet you provided a call log, and by my count in that call log, I came up with 11 arrests since, well, it begins, I believe, March of last year.
March of last year.
In the last arrest, well, and none of these arrests are for stabbing, robbery, sexual assault, or anything. The last arrest I see from the call log, well, let me ask you this. On the call log, there's site numbers. And from what I can make out, and again, I only have the call logs through June 17th, so I don't know if there's more. The other officer said through July. I don't want them now. I mean, I should have got them before the hearing. But there's June 17th to 2020. That's the last date I have it, is through June 17th, 2020. There's nothing for May. But my point is that It looks like from the call logs I got, and so you know, there were call logs provided with this. I went to the record room and asked for call logs. They said to get these call logs would take weeks and cost hundreds of dollars, and they wouldn't have them ready for tonight. I do want to see the call logs. But my point is, from the call logs that I do have from May and June, on the call log itself, the summary that you did on June 17th and May 4th, under the site number, is it fair to say 5523 is Mr. Patel's property?
Yes,
And 5738 is the Walgreens pharmacy?
yes.
Okay, well, I broke those down, and you're saying there's 400 incidents on Mr. Patel's property, yet that's completely inaccurate. I broke down page 1 from June 17th, page 1, 2, and 3 from the May 4th, and that's as far as I went. And more than half of the calls came from Walgreens and not from Mr. Patel's. Now, I don't know if there's some reason that Mr. Patel is singled out and not a national corporation, but there are more calls by far from Walgreens than from Mr. Patel, yet he's here tonight and being blamed for this in a neighborhood that's a disgrace. It's an absolute shame to this city that there are more arrests at the Stop and Shop than there are at Mr. Patel's property. I know that from experience in district court, yet he's here, not Stop and Shop, not Walgreens, not anyone else, not Shell. But I just want to point out, that's just an analysis of 4 pages. But over half of the calls, by my count, and I can give them to you, my analysis, came from property 5738, which I took to be Walgreens. Another one came from 5741. I don't know who that is. But again, most of these calls did not come from Mr. Patel's property up through June 17th. And on top of it, according to the call logs going back, there were 11 separate arrests. I don't know how many people were arrested. Some seem to be multiple. But of those 11, 9 were at Walgreens and 2 were at Mr. Patel's. The last arrest at Mr. Patel's was 4/2/19, and there was one before that, 3/29/19. In the actual call transcriptions that we were given for May and June, it looks like there's been a step up in arrest at Mr. Patel's property. But again, there were no, by my view, serious offenses. I don't see any arrests for robbery. I don't see any arrests for sexual assault. And again, what I want to emphasize, and if you look at the police reports, every one of them mentions, other than the May, and even the May one begins by, have promoted a working relationship between Mr. Patel and myself to deter crime. Mr. Patel owns 2 businesses in the city. He pays $50,000 a year in property taxes. He pays personal property taxes. He pays another $50,000 in gas taxes. He would love to have a nice, quiet business. He has worked with the police since he bought this property 4 or 5 years ago. They asked him to put up no trespass signs. They've asked him to serve no trespass orders. And he's worked very well with them, and that's why this is surprising to him. He has tried to get rid of these, and it's a small number. If you look at the police report, it's a small number of people who are a problem. I've been up there several times, and the office is correct. On the west end of his property on Hotwell Street, there are some green areas which he and his family have fixed up very nicely. There's plantings there, there's trees, and that seems to be the problem. There's a tree there. I went up Saturday, Monday, Tuesday, and went by today. And, I mean, these people don't just come to go, I don't even, most of them aren't allowed in the store, and Mr. Patel will address that. But they come for the day. They got backpacks, they got milk crates, they're just there. And Mr. Patel can only do so much. I have 2 witnesses here who work for him, who certainly can handle themselves, but they're not going to go out and chase people away repeatedly. It's a problem for him. It's a problem for his business. He's tried to get rid of these people. He has more than 1,000 customers a day. I hadn't been in there until this came up. I can't believe how busy it is. It's a very busy spot. It's clearly a neighborhood problem. One of the reports before you, and I would note the reports, I mean, one of them goes back to 2018, and that one indicates that, are we using names of individuals here, or are we going to stay away from that?
No.
Don't use them, right?
So anyways, that indicates one individual who was repeatedly in these reports, and it points out that they responded to a call by Mr. Patel, that he had called repeatedly, that this individual had been told repeatedly, that he had asked her to be away. And then it goes on to say that this individual had been told to stay away from McDonald's, Shell, Walgreens, and Sullivan Tire. And again, it's not a recent report, it's 18. And then there's two other reports, I believe, in the packet, both from 19, one from August 4th, and that had, again, one of the individuals was the same individual in that report I just referenced, and it's the same thing. Mr. Patel called, said they're driving me nuts, they're loitering, they won't get off the property, it's hard for me to get them off, I put up no trespass signs, and that was one of the arrests at his property, the most recent one. And then there's another one, I guess the day after, the same individual. He has barred that individual. He's tried to keep people out. He's issued, I've got copies of no trespass orders for you, that he's issued with officers present. He hand delivers them because these are, by and large, as we understand it, homeless people. They are people with no known address, at least according to the information in the packet. So Mr. Patel has been given a standard form, no trespass. He issues them when there's a police officer there to these people and they're witnessed and a copy goes to the police department. He's trying his best in a difficult neighborhood. He has thousands of customers. Most of them are not obtrusive. A small handful are. He's tried to bar them. He's tried to keep them out. I would note that two of the reports that are most recent from 19 refer to the arrest being for drinking on the public sidewalk. So what they do is they sit under his tree, and for instance, when I was there that day and we kept looking, they moved onto the sidewalk, onto Hartwell Street. So, and I know it's hard for the police, and it's a tough neighborhood. I mean, I'm a member of the Corky Row, I'm there. I mean, I don't know how anything survives in that neighborhood with what goes on. But it's not just Mr. Patel. And I would point out that there's no nothing in any report saying that on such and such a date there was a drug deal. Never mind that Mr. Patel had nothing to do with it, and how can he control that? There's nothing saying that I can see any robbery, any, and I don't want to make light of the other crimes because they are nuisances for the mill, for the other owners, but also for Mr. Patel. He wants these people out of there. He put up the no trespass notice, hoping they would get arrested more. Now, I understand you can't be arresting people nonstop for trespassing, and I know how it's handled in the court. But Mr. Patel can only do so much. He's not law enforcement. He doesn't have any authority. He would love for these people to be away. The one incident that concerns me, is this incident that he pays someone with liquor. Again, I have an affidavit from that fella. I don't want to say his name, but if the board wants it, I'd submit it. He says he was never paid in alcohol. Whether or not he told the police that, I don't know. He's an individual who does hang around there. I have two people who work for him who will come in and testify to the board that as regards this individual, they took money out of the register and paid him, that he would come around and clean up. And the lot's a mess because it's on a corner, it's in a busy area. Walgreens is next door, there's a McDonald's. There's all the debris from his store. So he's hired someone else now to clean up the store. And he pays people. He has barred people from coming in. He's issued no trespass orders. And again, we're not going to mention names here, but they can address particular individuals by some reference as to who's been kept out. We're here to work with the board. I mean, Mr. Patel owns 5 businesses. This is one of 2 in Fall River. He owns other liquor stores up in the North Shore in North Reading. He has no problem. He has no problem on Broadway. He has no complaints there. He has no problem in Taunton, where he owns a store.
Randolph beer wine, we don't have problem with Randolph.
Yeah, but in these other businesses, he's done well without problems. He's tried to work. I understand the frustrations of the officers. I've been there for probably a total of 45 minutes, and 2 officers came by in Cruiser 15 the other day and said something. And again, it's congregating. It's 3, 4 people. They got knapsacks. They got milk crates. I mean, it's like when we were kids, you'd go to the park for the day and your mother would give you a lunch. I mean, now, Mr. Patel has told me they don't stay usually that long, but they're back and forth, and he is not serving the people who have been identified as the problem, and he's kept them out of the store. But he's asking for the city's assistance. I mean, he's running a good business, he runs other successful businesses, and these people just show up time and time again, and he can't get rid of them. Like I said, I've been there 4 times, 3 times there were people under the tree. I suggested he cut down the tree. I think you need permission from the city to do it, but bring someone up from Stumpy's Hatchets and we can cut it down. We got the fence. I talked to him about putting a fence in that area. It seems to be just that west area. I don't think the south side is a problem. There's green areas there. But whatever it takes, he's willing to do. He's got a flourishing business. He's making a good living. His family works there. His daughter and wife are out there. His daughter works there more than Mrs. Patel. And then there's 2 clerks out there who will testify. They've barred people. They keep them out. One of the clerks is a bouncer, and like he says, he tries to move people, but, you know, he can't go out there and order people around. Mr. Patel has a air pump. People don't use it because people congregate there. They go over by the dumpsters. This is going back towards the car wash, which he doesn't own the car wash. So we're here to work with the board. We would certainly ask that there be no discipline at this time. We think there are remedies to this. We appreciate all the police department's done. We know there's a lot of calls, but when you break them down, Walgreens is calling a lot more than us. And I do go to Walgreens, and you know, I hold my breath when I go in. It's a pretty rough crowd there. And I do think, in fairness, if we're going to look at Mr. Patel, there's other businesses that should be examined in that neighborhood.
Okay, so as you know, we have no control over any of those other businesses because they're not within, they don't do services that we control. We control the liquor license. That's the issue. The issue of, this is not the first time he's been brought here. He was here in 2018. And I think it's he said, she said. I did not go through. We rely on the police as our enforcement. The bit about the alcohol being, you know, dispersed for payment for services rendered, that's very disturbing. Very, very disturbing. Whether you have an affidavit or not, we'll certainly accept it if you want to give it to us. And the other thing, I got to ask one direct question. How many hours a week are you at that property?
I'm at that properties more than 80 hours.
You're there 80 hours. And Attorney Mitchell's alluded several times that the thousands of people use service every day.
Yeah.
And you can't get rid of people. Did you ever think of hiring a police officer to be at the premises? If you're making that much money, wouldn't it be worth hiring a police officer, a detail, to be on the property to move those people? Or you want the police to take care of it?
If that's a recommendation, we'll certainly.
No, I'm asking him a question.
Yeah, we can think about that, no problem.
Okay. There are 2 other police officers here. Are you ready for them to speak? You have anything else you want to add?
I do. I just want to make sure we're on the same page because I noticed there was a little discrepancy in the location and the call amounts. I believe you were at June of 2019, or was it 2020 you had call logs for, sir?
I can go over them right here. I have a call log. It's page 1. It's dated 6/17/2020. It goes from 6/2 to 6/17/2020.
Okay.
I then have a series of 10 pages that run from, well, it goes out of order on the last page, the 10th page, but it seems to run from March 1st of 2019 until May 4th, the date of your report of 2020. And that's what I have. Now, in addition to that, I also have a series of actual call logs, you know, the calls themselves, the transcriptions, which seem to go from May to June, some of which are on page 1, 5/17/2020. And that's how I figured out the 5523 was their property. Okay. But again, I understand the board doesn't have control, although I believe the city certainly has control over Walgreens and these other businesses through the health board and building inspector and other departments. But, you know, Mr. Patel is here to work with you, whether or not he can afford a detail.
Let's let the
every night.
police finish their presentation, please.
I have 3 packets here dated from May 1st, 2020 to the date of July 2nd, 2020. Various calls with the site date of 350 Rodman Street, Hartwell Quick Stop. I don't know if the board would like me to read those off. It's rather lengthy. But I can give dates and the nature of the calls that were there, because I know there was a little bit of confusion earlier in regards to...
How many, do you have an estimate of how many there are?
About 30-some.
And that's from May 1st
to July 2nd.
to July 2nd.
And that varies from unwanted parties to drunk calls to lethal weapons to disturbances and fights in the parking lot.
Okay.
Detective, if I
I'm
can
gonna
ask a
object to
question?
this. We've had no notice of these, and I
Okay.
haven't been able to obtain the reports. I mean,
Okay. If,
I'm at a big disadvantage when the record room tells me they can't get me stuff for weeks.
okay, but wasn't this packet was sent to him?
Two, one.
Yeah, I have, not these. We don't have to.
No, he just brought that tonight, Attorney Mitchell.
Yeah, no, the most recent date I have is June 17th, 2020. I don't have, I mean, I have some of what the officer referenced, but not, certainly not
Do you
through
have anything
July.
else you want to add?
There's
or-
been no change since the May 4th to now. It's only increased. There was just an incident with a knife and a gun in that parking lot, and the calls are from the quick zone. They say right in the call notes, from the quick zone. This has been ongoing. There's no calls there that says Mr. Patel called to disperse people from the parking lot.
Okay.
He says, you say he's asking for help from the city. We're here to help you. He's not willing to call us to let us know there's a problem there.
So where
We
did-
only go there when there's either a 911 call or somebody calls and says, hey, listen, this is what's going on in the parking lot.
Who called on the knife incident, you said? The quick zone? What's the quick zone?
The mini-mart, I'm sorry.
Hartwell Quick Stop, 350 Rodman Street, July 2nd, coded a lethal weapon.
And I'd just like to add too, I mean, the liquor license that we are involved with is only a very small piece of the puzzle. The city itself, minimum housing, there was a letter sent to him today from minimum housing. We've been given a copy saying that they're looking to have that labeled as a nuisance property, and they intend to pursue it.
On what grounds? I
Well,
mean,
the letter is here, so you'll be able to get a copy of it. It just says, if you want me, I can read it, if you want,
no, I'm
if you want to
looking
hear
at
it.
I don't want it part of the record. I mean, it doesn't belong.
Well, it was presented to the board.
But
today.
We don't get notice of this stuff? We're told it at the
Attorney
hearing?
Mitchell, we're doing the best we can as
Well, I'm not
well.
faulting you, but I'm just saying, we're here looking to revoke someone's license, and we're
Well-
pulling stuff up at the 11th hour. It's
Well,
not
I
fair.
just don't want the impression made that we're picking on this particular
there's-
place. We're not picking on
Oh, I
anyone.
feel that.
It's presented to us, and like I say, it's not the first rodeo for Mr. Patel before the board.
Yeah,
So
but
if
the
you
last time,
want,
let's be clear, last time was serving a minor one-day suspension, I understand.
right, okay.
And he understands it. Look, I'm not justifying it, but it's clearly part of the business that minors get by.
Right.
And I'm not excusing it, but this is a whole different thing. You got
Sir?
to run down, the problem is the city of Fall River. You got to run down destitute area that no one wants to address.
I don't want to get
There's
into that
more crime in that
characterization.
area.
I don't think that's
Well, it
appropriate.
matters because you're blaming Mr. Patel for that.
I'm not blaming
The-
Mr. Patel for anything,
the
Attorney
neighbors-
Mitchell. We've been told that he is giving people alcohol in exchange for services.
One person,
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. One service, under those circumstances, is wrong. And that shows that whether he's successful with thousands of people a day in 25 businesses, if you do it once, it's wrong.
and we dispute it. We've
Oh,
got
that's
an
fine, you can
affidavit from
dispute
the
it, and
man,
as
and I've
the
got people
board,
to testify.
we have to determine whether we believe him, your witness, or the police. That's what it comes down to. So the next thing I want to ask is if you have anything else, because this is not going to go on for 14 hours.
I'm not
Do
looking
you have
at this.
anything else that you have to say? Would the next officer please come over and say what they have to say? Hi, could you state your name and address for the record?
Yeah, I'm John Ruggiero, Fall Police Department. I didn't come here specifically for Hotwell Quick Stop, but I've also responded several calls for service over there. It's the same people over and over and over again, every single day. You go there, they have a natty daddy, they have nips. Where are they buying them? They're not buying them from another liquor store and then going to the parking lot and drinking them there. They're buying them there. So why does he continue to serve them?
Right.
Well, have you seen them go in and buy and walk out and drink right there?
Yes.
You've seen it?
Well, like I said, they're there.
But when have you seen it?
Well, I'm not sitting there for hours waiting for them to
I think
come in
that's
and out of the
significant.
store, attorney.
There's this
It's-
presumption
we-
that they have alcohol and it's from him. We have witnesses, and Mr. Patel will testify. The officer's correct. It's the same people, and he's kept them out of the store. He hasn't been able to keep them off the property because they just show up. And look, we appreciate what the police done. We realize their patience is worn. But they've gone to other businesses in the neighborhood. I understand this board, I guess, only has jurisdiction of this particular business, although I wonder what licenses Stop and Shop has and Walgreens. But
But they don't have liquor licenses.
But it's not just liquor, it's any license they have.
The only
They're
thing
a
we're
nuisance.
concerned with, and I'd like to keep it just to the
I don't know what they have
alcohol
to
part
do
of
with
it.
the Hotwell Quick Stop.
The bottom line to me is that he has control over the real estate. Whether he needs to fence the entire thing in to keep those people out, he's done nothing. It doesn't appear that he's done, I understand he put up signs, he's done this, he's done that. But there are ways that he could have prevented some of that. He could have asked for assistance from the police as
He
far as
has, and he's being
for a
criticized
detail
for too many
that he
calls.
pays for to protect his property and his business. I'm just saying, that's a suggestion that perhaps he should
And
look
we
into.
could- we will
The other
certainly
fact is,
consider
if
it.
there's a green area where they sit under a tree, get rid of the tree or put a fence up around the property so that no one can be in there. Why 2 years haven't you done that?
Because he's worked with the police for 2 years. And
Why
he-
haven't you done that in 2 years? Please don't just stare at me, answer me.
No. I don't know, I didn't have an idea that, when I start over that, we get every day, we have to, at that time, they were starting people, was 15 people right in front of the door at that time. We have to call every day. When I start over that in 2015 and 2016, April 1st, every day 15 people right in front of the store. And after I know how to the little, I get idea, and after that I can start to read up. I put the sign again and again, and I'm very strict, too strong. I stay more hours over there, and after that I gonna kick them out. Some people get I call the oftentimes the cops, and I know who is there, they not show up. After that, they go to the air pump in the corner. After they're not standing there. And after the air pump, they happen oftentimes same thing. And after I stick there, and after they go to the tree now, and now I have the idea, I'm going to put the fence, I'm going to put the camera over there too. I have the all.
We never had this issue with the prior owner. There was never that issue with the prior owner, correct?
Never, ever.
Never once did we have an
But,
issue with them or anyone reaching out from the police, because these things, it's when you started there that this issue began. So I guess the next thing would be, do you have anything else, Officer Ruggiero?
No.
Officer, can I ask you just one question? In your opinion, I would have asked the last officer, and you might have alluded to it, but why do you think this group is hanging there?
Always the
Oh, no, this is for the officer. Then I'm going to ask you, Mr. Patel, actually, too. So, officer, why do you think, and detective, why do you think they're hanging there? Is it because they have access to...
As I earlier stated, I'm not watching the same 10, 12 people who are there every day. I do see them with alcohol, whether it's Nips or Natty Daddies, and they're in the west side of that parking lot. And, I mean, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out. They're buying it there.
Yeah. Mr. Patel.
There's no liquor store, and I think the closest liquor store would maybe be M&S Liquors.
Correct.
Up
Mr.
Plymouth
Patel,
Avenue.
why do you think this group is hanging? Let me just ask a question, then you
And
can
these
answer.
are also the same,
I got a question for you. Why do you think this same group is hanging at your establishment instead of another spot with a tree or a park bench? I want to get my hands around why they're choosing your spot for the last 2 years. Because as the chairman did allude to, the prior owners, and I've been on this board for 12 years, we didn't have this issue there. The structure of that
Yeah,
neighborhood hasn't changed since you took it over.
Sir,
Let me just finish. Walgreens is still there. They were there prior to you taking over. Stop and Shop, Shell, they were all there prior to you taking over, and we didn't have these issues. So I want to get down to, why do you think they're hanging out at your property now prior to the old owner? I'm not asking you in the corner yet. I'm asking the owner of the property.
Sir, before was when I start there was 15 people definitely there.
Okay, so you've had them for 2 years. Why do you think they hang out there, though? Why do they choose your establishment instead of any other spot in the city? Why do they choose your property to hang out? Why is it the tree? Is it the grass? Is it the access to the parking lot, to the alcohol? Are you nice to them? Are you not nice? There has to be a reason why they choose your property and nowhere else in the city to do whatever they're doing that you don't want them to do.
I see them everywhere. They standing. You see the next door, the Papaji. I see the 3, 4, 5 people always everywhere there. I see the Walgreens, always people everywhere there. With the Stop and Shop, always there everywhere. And the same people. Sometimes today this way, tomorrow other kind, and too many like that. And we try to remove the when I see them. I go especially, I was from the office, I was from home. When I was from the home also, I called my guide, remove that people, they're standing there. When I the office, I go specially outside and remove them. And now it's way better than before. Way better, sir.
I mean, it's been 2 years, as the
But
chairman said.
if you not believe me, see the.
Oh, I've been by there. I mean, I've done multiple inspections there.
I'm telling you, the police department calls. How many calls I have the starting when I start? Every single day we call. Every single day, sometimes 2, sometimes 3.
I couldn't agree with you more. There are calls, but here's what I do know. I do know the prior owner didn't have these issues, and that's what I'm trying to get down to, because they didn't have this problem. I know they didn't, because I was on the board when they owned it. They didn't come in front of us once. So, and maybe you can't figure it out, but there has to be something going on with your property, with you running it, because that property existed before you. That's all I'm saying. I appreciate you answering my questions. That's all I have at this time.
Just on that, we don't agree that there weren't prior problems. Mr. Patel would testify that beginning, when he bought it, there was a problem, and it was worse than it is now. I'm gonna go look for the call logs from pre-16 or whatever. We'll just see. The problem is, and I know the board doesn't want to, it's the neighborhood. He's in a
Right.
high crime.
Yeah, we can't get into that. We can't
You
get
have to
into
get
it.
into that, because you're picking out one individual, and I know
He's
that's
the
what
only
this
one with
board
a
has.
liquor license.
I
That's
understand.
before us.
But we're here, we show over half the calls are for Walgreens. I mean, everything about this is flawed. They say 400 calls, but about 100 might be from him. You got an individual who comes to the police, asks for help repeatedly. They help, they did a lot for him, he tried to cooperate. Now they're in here claiming, well, one guy who, good luck judging his credibility, has told someone that he gets paid with liquor, when in fact, we've got 3 people who testify he wasn't, he was paid in cash. And apart from that, everyone's surmising. These people show up with knapsacks. I don't know where they get the liquor from, but there's no proof it comes from the Quick
I just
Mart
want to
or
add at
Keep
this
Some.
point, it's very apparent to me that obviously this hearing cannot be concluded tonight.
Correct.
Because Attorney Mitchell doesn't have access to everything that's been presented to us.
Correct.
And if you want to engage the police department to get you whatever records you want, that's entirely up to you.
That's more than fair.
Are there any, I just want to make sure the police, you have anything else you want to add? Because I know some of you have to get back to work. No, you good?
Property.
I know that there's people here to speak in his support, and there's people to speak against him. So, I mean, and that's the other thing. I think you can go back through our records. There were never complaints from the Tecumseh Mills against the prior owner that their people are being harassed over there. And again, the only thing we have jurisdiction over is the alcohol part of it. But if there are nips being drunk on the property, that's not supposed to happen either. The issues surrounding that, serving intoxicated people, I believe I saw a couple of complaints about that in there. So those are issues we have jurisdiction over. But at this point in time, do you have any other witnesses you want to speak tonight?
I wouldn't, if we're gonna put it over, I'd wait
Okay.
till we know more. I mean, I don't wanna tie you up now.
I know there's someone here from the Tecumseh Mills, correct? If you'd like to come up and speak, please. Please just state your name and address.
Teresa Potter. I live at 164 Hartwell Street, apartment 121,
Okay?
and I'm the property manager.
Okay, and you did submit a letter to us from June,
Yes,
so
we
you
did.
should have gotten that letter, Attorney Mitchell, from the Tecumseh Mills. But do you want to read the letter? Do you want to?
I didn't bring it, no.
I have the letter, and I think we all got a copy of it. The members of the board
Mhm.
got a copy
Yep.
of it. But please, go ahead.
Tecumseh Mill has been there for almost 40 years. And we do also pay a lot of taxes there. And we expected Mr. Patel's liquor or convenience store, gas station to, what's the word I want to use? To at least not have all the trouble that we're having now with you. I've been there 14 years at Tecumseh Mill Apartments, and
Excuse me.
Yeah.
I am the one that brought that sign to Mr. Patel for saying no trespassing. I brought that over because it was getting out of hand, and I've asked him numerous times. I'm also a witness to them buying liquor nips and going out and sitting out there. I've seen that. You've seen me in there going to Dunkin' Donuts. You see me going
I
to get
see
gas.
that too many people they.
Right, but I'm
you
just
know, like,
saying,
I
I
can't
am a
remember
witness to this. I'm
Mr.
also
Patel,
a witness
Just let it, don't
Yeah.
answer questions, just let it talk. You're not here to get questioned.
to the people on your property going behind the dumpster, urinating, defecating, shooting up drugs, coming on to Tecumseh Mill, urinate in the bushes. And I see that because it's right outside my office window. Your place is a disgrace. It's dirty. It's overrun with trash blowing over to our property all the time. We got rats. We had to hire an exterminator. Never had that property in the 14 years I've been there. I've asked you numerous times to help us. My elderly people, it's elderly, 62 and older over there, are afraid to walk over there. Just recently, one was accosted, hit in the face because he didn't give them money. I know that's not your people, but you have to do something about it. You're letting them drink on your property and then just leave the trash there. And who has to pick up that trash? Who has to see those needles? We do next door. It's not fair to us. You have done nothing, and we've asked you many, many times. I'm sorry, I'm just so emotional. I have elderly I have to look at, and they complain to me all the time about this, seeing this. And I've seen them personally with my own eyes doing the drugs, selling the drugs. I live there, I know.
Ma'am, how long have you been the property manager at Tecumseh?
14 years.
Prior to Mr. Patel taking over the property,
Yes.
do you remember these issues with the prior owners on their property at all?
No.
No.
Not when the liquor license. We came here and told the board then, when he wanted the license, that this was going to happen. He promised us this was not going to happen, because if you remember, the liquor license was supposed to be in the back. They were going to build a liquor store.
Correct.
And they didn't. So then they put it into the gas station. When the owners were like, oh, we're going to put it in here, then I was like, oh, here we go. And then soon right after that, they sold it to Mr. Patel.
Okay. All
So
right,
the
we
prior
just-
owners didn't build
The-
the back addition?
No, they did not.
It wasn't Mr. Patel who made that promise and broke it?
No,
the
it was
prior
supposed to be in the back, a liquor
supposed to be two
store.
Originally, there was
structures.
supposed to be a freestanding building.
supposed to be
Right,
two
right, and we
structures
didn't
all
even
together.
know, all of a sudden, now there's a liquor store
Right, and they,
inside the gas station.
And was there liquor before Mr. Patel?
Yes.
yes,
Yep,
yeah. They never built the store, and they came back and amended it to include it in the
Right.
building.
Into the one gas
Into the building. So your concerns, they're noted, they're in our record, and I understand that. And I think that, again, it's the neighborhood issue, it's the, but if alcohol's at the root of it, that they're buying alcohol and consuming it on the property and hanging on the property, that's a problem. It's not a bar. He's not supposed to be, dispensing alcohol for them to sit there and drink. And ultimately, it's the licensee's responsibility to make sure those people leave the property. So that's all I'm going to say right
Yeah, that's
now.
all, Mr. Patel. Meantime, I am going to
speak
You
with
want to table the matter?
representatives of the police department.
Yeah, and I
before the
think
next
that's
meeting
what
and
needs
see-
to be done. And I don't want anyone getting the impression that we're picking on Mr. Patel. We're not picking on him. He's the only one with a liquor license, so he's the only one that we can speak to. Stop and Shop doesn't have it, Walgreens, nobody else in that area has a liquor license, so we have no control over any of that. McDonald's on the other side, yes, we have control over the common victular license, but again, they're not the ones before us for an issue over there. So I think you gotta keep that in mind, and I would encourage both sides to get their call log clarified and maybe shred it out so that it's just that particular place. And I can only hope that the next 30 days, that everything's nice on Hartwell Street, because if it isn't, that's gonna be not a good thing for you.
And Mr. Chairman, if I could add, this board is on record, and we can look back, agreeing to work with Mr. Patel 2 years ago.
Right.
We went out to the facility, we organized a group of officers to meet with Mr. Patel. So this board has, in my opinion, been very supportive to Mr. Patel and any other license owner in the city of Florida.
So I think if everyone is in agreement, I think probably just continue it to the next meeting so you can do.
We'll do
And
that.
I
We'll
would
submit
ask
it, please.
Attorney Mitchell that prior to the meeting, and the police the same thing, that 10 days prior to the meeting, I'd like a list of who is going to appear, who and what they're going to say, what the nature of, because we're not going to sit here and talk about that's a deplorable neighborhood, that people are doing this or doing that. I want to know about alcohol, and I want to know about if there's any violation of that license. Okay?
I'll make a motion that we table the matter to the next meeting.
I'll second the
What's the date of the
motion.
next meeting?
The 19th, August 19th. There's a motion made and seconded to continue it to the August 19th meeting. Is there anyone else here in favor? Anyone opposed? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks
you,
for the
everyone.
time.
The next item on the agenda is we had an open meeting law complaint to our March 26th, June 26th meeting. And the nature of the complaint was, it was Colin Dias. There were several violations that he alleged. And Carrie did get an extension from the state to file the answer. So we did get the extension, so we would need a vote to send that to Corporation Council.
I'll make a motion that we approve the request to Corporation Council to address this matter.
And I'll second the
There's
motion.
a motion made and seconded to send this to Corporation Council. It's made and seconded. Anyone else in favor? Anyone opposed? All in favor?
Aye.
And anyone else have anything to say?
Make a motion that we adjourn.
Motion made.
Second the motion.
Seconded to adjourn. Anyone else in favor? Anyone opposed? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.